and I thank you all for welcoming us to this very historic place. And Mr. President, it's a true honor to have you with us here for the opening of this exhibit. Thank you also to our Romanian partners who make this exhibit possible. The Ministry of Culture, National Museum of History of Romania, the Diplomatic Archives, as you had mentioned, Mr. President, the Birkenthal National Museum, the Pelish National Museum, and the Daniel Cosmin Obreja Collection. Special thanks to our curators, Dr. Cornel Constantin, Ilie, and Dr. Christina Payusha, for bringing this exhibit to life. Now, at the outset, it is a true honor to be standing before you today as President Trump's personal representative to this remarkable country. As ambassador, I get to go to many events. This is one that I have so much been looking forward to, as I mentioned to you previously. So I am going to use ambassadorial privilege, and I'm sorry to say, talk a little bit longer than I usually do. I hope you don't mind. I started college with the intention of studying economics. That was until I got my first semester grade in Econ 101. So I called my father, and I told him how I did, and I asked him what he thought. He said, maybe you should consider another path. Was there a class you really enjoyed? And I said, well, come to think of it, it was my course on 19th century and early 20th century European history. Well, he replied, I think you have your answer. And I became a history major and have loved reading history ever since. Now, at the time I made this decision, it did not seem like a very practical choice. I never imagined that one day I would be here in Romania, in a place where the history I first studied, comes alive. Over the years, I've learned something important, which is one cannot truly understand a country and its people without knowing their history. So before coming here, I did a job reading as much as I could about Romania's past. And I can see how the history of this country helped shape the Romania we know today. For me, this history is also personal. My grandparents left this region and emigrated to the United States over a century ago. I can see how the history of this part of the world influenced them and what they taught us as my brothers and I were growing up. I can see how it formed their values: faith, family, pride in one's heritage, and a strong work ethic. These are the same values rooted in Western civilization that define Romania today. And they are also the values which lie at the heart of this partnership between our nations, Mr. President, as you had mentioned, has never been stronger and has never been more important. So I'm excited to be here in this museum, and I'm also honored to be part of opening this exhibit. This year, America marks 250 years since our founding. And as you mentioned, Mr. President, 146th anniversary of our diplomatic relations, evidence of which we'll see in the exhibit. And it's a perfect moment to look back at what binds our nations and our people, and to celebrate those bonds. 250 years ago this month, our Declaration of Independence was signed. It rested on what was then a radical idea, that freedom does not come from kings nor from governments, but rather is endowed on all of us from a higher source. That idea has inspired Americans ever since, and it has inspired peoples around the world. Our founders could have never imagined that their words would shape the destiny of a nation like Romania. Yet they did. That connection is real, and it deserves to be honored, which is what this exhibit does. Romanians, I've come to know personally, understand the value of freedom and the cost of not having it. This history is recent, and as I've learned, it's personal to many people here. Some of the most powerful conversations I've had in my time here have been with people who have shared their recollections of living through communism and the revolution. They share stories of hardship and also of great courage. These words have given me a deeper sense of what freedom really means. The exhibit we are opening today tells our shared story. It traces diplomatic, military, and cultural ties between the United States and Romania. It asks questions and offers insights that may challenge what we think we may know about our common past, like when did the first American merchant ship travel up the Danube to Romania? Which Romanian work of art ended up before federal judges in the United States, and why? I don't know the answer. I'm looking forward to finding out. And who was the first Romanian queen to visit the White House? I think that one, many of us can guess the answer. But regardless, the answers are waiting for you inside. This exhibit is also, though, about people. And let me mention a few. General George Pomutz was born in Transylvania. I heard his story my first week here in Romania. He emigrated to America and stepped forward when our union needed him. He ended up one of the highest-ranking Romanian-born officers in the U.S. military. His courage helped show Americans that our nation is worth fighting for. And he later served as a United States diplomat. Elie Wiesel survived the Holocaust, and he became one of America's strongest moral voices and received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And of course, there's gymnast Nadia Comaneci. Nadia changed her sport. She set a new standard for what is possible in gymnastics, and she did it at a very young age. She personally helped make gymnastics widely popular around the world, and she's widely seen as one of the greatest female athletes in history. Today, she's a very successful businesswoman and an ambassador for Special Olympics. Now, my wife Lori and I had the honor of meeting Nadia the other day, one of the great privileges of being an ambassador. She spoke with us about what brings an athlete to success. As she talked about hard work, dedication, and resilience, I realized that these are the same qualities that I have seen in so many Romanians. The exhibit we open today is about stories. Stories about America and Romania, which we share, stories about people. And that is what history really is. And we're grateful to the curators who've helped bring these stories to life, and to our partners who've made it possible to share these here in Bucharest. But as we honor that history, we should remember there is also a story still being written. It's being written right now by people here in Romania. With our shared values and Romania's incredible potential, I have a feeling that the exhibit that opens up 100 years from now will tell an even greater story, a story of achievement, friendship, and a partnership between our two nations. Thank you very much.